The next easy weaving type is called basket weave. Basket weave uses a double string and it actually skips strings. So it goes over 2 strings, under 2 strings, over 2 strings. And you guessed it, it ends up looking like a basket weave. The orange section right here is basket woven. So if you've ever seen those, any type of, maybe your parents have like a wooden woven basket, that's sort of what this is named after. So for this one, you're gonna need to do something a little bit different. When you're measuring your string, you need to measure it for how many rows you wanna make times 2. So if I wanna make 6 rows, I have to measure my string 12 times. Then once you have your string cut, you need to take the ends of your string like this, and you need to make sure they're the same, and you're gonna have a loop on the other side, like this. And I'm gonna take my needle, and I'm gonna put it all the way to that loop, and I'm gonna hold on to these 2 edges as my needle goes to the bottom. So I have a loop on my needle, and then I have the edges down here that are matched up. So then what I'm gonna do, just like you've done a million bajillion times now, cross, so you have a loop and an X, and pull both tails through. I would go ahead and double knot this one because it sometimes likes to come undone for some reason. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is take this and tie it to your string. Just let that hang out there. So when you're basket weaving, you're going to be going 2 at a time. Now we're really lucky we have a 22 string loom, so it's going to always be even numbers. So you're just gonna, I'm gonna say this is over, so I'm gonna go over 2, under 2. Do you see how I did that simultaneously? My needle is over the first 2 and under the next 2. Over 2, under 2. Pull through a little bit. Over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2. And go ahead and pull through. Got a little craziness going on over here. I'm not gonna pull too tight, and then I'm gonna smushy whoosh my stuff down. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off since it's kind of making me crazy. And now when I go back around, like we've always done, I have to capture this. So right now I'm over 2, so on my second row, I need to go under 2, and then every set of 2 should be the opposite of the first row. So I went under, now I need to go over. I went over, now I need to go under. So it's always a way of kind of checking on yourself as you're working. You can check on the row before you besides just the row pattern that you're following. This is a really great weave when you have like big bars to do. This isn't such a great weave to like build with unless you have even numbered spaces. So if you were making a big square, you could totally use basket weaving as long as your square was like 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 warp strings big. So I'm going to keep going until I have 6 rows. Uh-oh, I have a little loopy here. That just means the tension in my yarns are a little uneven. So I'm just going to pull that. I'm going to figure out which string is doing that and just kind of straighten it out. If you also notice that your strings are twisting, you can just manually pull them and manipulate them. Remember, if you see something wrong, fix it. Something to be really careful of with the basket weaving is the basket weaving, because you're working in 2 strings at a time, it tends to want to group your warp strings together. So it's really hard to keep them separate. So just as you're working, remember to pull that yarn and keep your warp strings straight. Don't let them go in. When you are all finished, you're just going to tie it off like you always have with the X and the loop, and tie nice and tight, but not too tight, because see what just happened with my loom strings? I don't want to tie them too tight. I can always go back and glue that later. And that is what your basket weave looks like.